my pleasure. It is my pleasure to introduce you. I'm very pleased that we were able to have some time on Ambassador Quinlan's schedule. Australia is one of the co-sponsors of this conference, and it is through the courtesy of the Australian mission that you have in your packets this CD of original music that was composed specifically for you. As I mentioned before, Ambassador Quinlan is a seasoned diplomat and is a leading diplomat in the UN system. We're very pleased to have him with us today. Ambassador Quinlan.
Thanks very much, Joanne. I must say I'm starting to feel older every second as I get referred to as learned, experienced, seasoned and everything else. I'm sure I'll only disappoint after that wonderful introduction. One thing that's been left off my bio, I have to say, there is the fact that I was also, in addition to everything else, Irish Countrywomen's Association Man of the Year in 1975. And that is only something you can have when you're young, and I understand I was young once. Look, I won't say a great deal because you're going to have a substantial discussion this morning on the SDGs and the trajectory for improving and mobilising support for them. The September conference at leaders level here in New York is absolutely vital if we're going to have any chance at all of achieving by 2015 the very ambitious targets we all set ourselves, the entire world, all leaders, 5 years ago, and it really is essential that we make that a success. I have to say, Australia, in offering to host for the only third time, I think, when the UNDPI and NGO conference has been held overseas, in offering to host it, we very much had in mind the importance of MDGs in our own part of the world, in our own region, South Asia, Southeast Asia, but also particularly in the small island states, the most vulnerable of our countries, the small island states in the South Pacific. As everybody knows, the health is the primordial MDG. None of the others matter. If you haven't got a healthy society, you don't have a society. So you don't have to worry about education and all the rest of it. I mean, it really is as stark as that. And when you look at the health indicators, of course, we're not doing well. I mean, we're lagging on infant mortality, we're lagging on maternal health, and so on. So we really must improve in those areas. We must mobilise more support politically and ensure that the programs and the funding is flowing. In terms of young voices, there will be an Australian who will participate, Adam Smith, a wonderful name from the last couple of years' experience we've all been through the global economic crisis, but Adam Smith, who is one of those young Australians who has a very powerful voice, and let's hope that he contributes, I know he will, very well to how you're going this afternoon. Youth does matter. From my own mission to the UN, I have to say, we're one of the handful of countries that every year have a youth ambassador as part of our 3-month delegation to the United Nations General Assembly. We've done that for a long time, and we do take it very seriously. And that youth ambassador spends 6 months before coming to New York doing town hall meetings right across Australia to galvanise youth interest, to learn the interests, the contemporary interests of youth, to feed into our delegation during that 3-month period, and then goes back and debriefs large numbers of people. The youth ambassador last year met with 45,000 Australian youth in different formats before he came and joined the delegation, and then is doing the same. So I just mentioned that we're actually quite serious. I'm not just speaking words as ambassadors to the, not of course Ambassador António, but many of us ambassadors often do. It is something that we take very seriously. So very good luck with the conference. I hope some of you can come to Melbourne. Melbourne is a nice city, not as nice as Sydney, but it is a nice city. There is an historic sort of tension between the two. Neither of them would agree to allow the other one to be the capital city, which is why we've got this terrible place called Canberra in between Sydney and Melbourne. It is a very agreeable city. In fact, it ranks always as one of the top 5 most agreeable cities in the world. Sydney's on the list as well, so visit both places. But I do hope you can participate in the conference. And I'm sure the outcomes of that will feed into the MDG Summit itself and then into your continuing contributions to deliberations. So good luck with the conference. I'll stay for a little while this morning, but I'm afraid I've got to go elsewhere. Today there is a Security Council debate on children in armed conflict. which is appropriate in some ways as well. Joan, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have heard Ambassador António tell us that regardless of the fact that there are serious health issues in Africa, youth are considered to be an opportunity, and that is significant. I think that's an important point for all of us to remember. Youth are an opportunity not only in Africa, but everywhere in the world, and I would like for you to take that away with you today. Ambassador Quinlan has emphasized Australia's commitment to youth, and the fact that Australia is one of the very few countries in the world that has a youth ambassador to the United Nations. We are impressed. Thank you very much, Excellencies. It is now my pleasure to introduce, as I said, two young ladies with whom I've had the privilege of working extensively in preparation of this conference, who are the co-chairs of the planning committee, the UNDPI NGO planning committee for the entire conference setting. And it truly has been a pleasure working with them. Maria Luisa Chavez is the Chief of NGO Relations for the United Nations, DPI, and is co-chair of the UN DPI NGO Conference Planning Committee, as I mentioned. She has a long career within the United Nations, and I was particularly interested, since I am a Star Trek person from way back then, I was particularly interested in finding out that she has served in UN offices dealing with outer space. So she and I are going to have a special conversation about that over tea one day. Maria Luisa.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, members of the Planning Committee who are here, dear friends, on behalf of the United Nations, the Department of Public Information and NGO Relations Cluster, and the 63rd Annual Planning Committee for our upcoming conference in Melbourne, I am very pleased and honored to be here and to welcome you all. You have heard from our previous speakers, Advance Global Health, Achieve the MDGs. It's your title, it's our title for the conference. This theme provides all of you with many tracks for getting involved in contributing to maintaining wellness around the world. Health issues are central to the Millennium Development Goals, which have been internationally accepted as the roadmap for development. The 8 goals should inspire every one of you to get more involved with non-governmental organizations, with the United Nations, with governments, with civil society at large, to see where and how you can make a difference. When the United Nations Charter was written, and I'm very proud to always carry with me the charter that was given to me when I was first hired in the United Nations several years ago. It still has some stains on it, but it's our little Bible. I strongly believe that the drafters had you, the youth, in mind when they drafted the charter. For several years now, we're seeing more and more the United Nations have youth get more involved in the agenda of the United Nations. You are the leaders of tomorrow, but we need to hear your voices now, today. That's very important. Some of you are also aware, as Ambassador Quinlan mentioned, that we started taking this conference on the road. For 60 years, we had the annual conference in New York. We decided it was time for us to outreach to other regions, to other NGOs from developing countries as well, who could not have the opportunity to come to New York and to be part of our annual conference. So as 3 years ago, we started taking the conference on the road. We started with Paris, last year with Mexico, and we're very happy and honored to be on our way to Melbourne in the next 2 months. We also decided, as a result of taking the conference on the road, to change our association process a little bit, giving priority to the NGOs in the region where we were taking the conference. So far, it has been very successful. We started last year with Latin America. We got an increase of nearly 80% increase of NGOs associated with the department. And this year, I'm very happy to say that we have received over 50 applications from the Asia and Pacific region. And I'm thrilled to mention that so far we have over 35 NGOs from Australia. We have from Philippines, from Fiji, from Tonga, and Vanuatu. So this exercise is going to be, is very successful, and we're very pleased because it's already a success towards the upcoming conference in the region itself.